Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Finance. We are talking today about prohibition of riba and looking at certain transactions to see if we can find some ruling regarding permissibility and so on. For those of viewers who are joining us, last time we discussed some of the types of riba, and we form basic principle on which we judge certain transaction. And we said, and this is based of various statements from the Prophet ﷺ that we analyzed, and they come down to three simple rules. And that is when you have exchange of, for example, gold for gold or silver for silver, so any type of monetary exchange or commodities exchange, for example, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, we are doing like for like for like. So whenever they are similar, we have to do them equal
for equal.
For equal, and must be hand to hand. To hand. Okay? So these are the basic rules of exchanging any and selling anything. So we analyzed a couple of examples, basic examples last time. Let's have a look few more examples this time. Credit cards. What is happening in credit cards? What sort of transaction is the credit card transaction? Conventional credit card.
It's you're buying a product.
I buy a product,
but the cash or the money is being delayed.
Okay, so I have my card.
Yes.
Okay, this is my credit card. I go to the shopping center. Okay, I buy, I don't know, something. Okay, I buy something with this card. What happens now? When I swipe the card, what happens? This is my bank.
Yeah.
This is my bank. Okay. They advance loan.
Yes.
So maybe this is $100. Okay. So they put immediately on the card, they pay $100.
$100. Yes.
Okay. So they give me a loan.
Yes.
What do I give them back?
You pay him back the money.
I pay them back
The loan.
The loan.
something. How much is this something?
100.
Could be 100, 101, 110, and so on. Depends how
Depends.
long I keep the money and what are the interest rates and so on. Okay. What sort of exchange is this?
It's,
This is money.
Yeah. So this is money for money exchange.
Money for money.
For money.
All right. Now, money for money exchange of commercial nature, we said,
It must
cannot have any increase. This is like for like, money for money. It's not equal to equal, and it's not hand to hand. Okay. So the credit card, sometimes people fall into this trick. What is the common feature of the most of the credit cards? They say, we give you 50 days interest free. Okay, so what does this mean normally? When people get this, they think it's now Sharia compliant because bank is giving me 50 days to pay it off. But first of all, in the contract, when you sign the credit card, you agree that you will pay interest should you delay more than 50 days. So the contract itself has problem. It has an issue where you agree that you will pay interest if you go beyond certain days. Second thing, what will happen, how many people fall into the riba? And why they make it 50 days, for example? You know that month is usually about 30 days.
30 days.
31 and so on. Now, let's say for simplicity, month is 30 days. So we have January, we have February, and then we have March. So what most of the people don't realize with these credit cards, beside the contract and all of these, is that 50 days on credit card is not from the time you buy, but it is from the within a cycle on your card. So for example, if your cycle starts on the 1st of the January, when it is going to finish?
The 10th of March.
Yeah?
20.
20th of March.
20,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's going to be 20 of February.
20 February.
Okay? Okay, this is your 50 days.
50 days.
50 days.
Yeah.
Okay? So if I buy here, I have 50 days to pay it off. Okay. How about if I buy here? Do I still get 50 days?
No.
No, I get whatever is
Left.
up to this moment when you, sorry, that should actually, so up to here is 50 days. From here is another 50. So if I buy it here 1 day before, I only have 1 day. There is no interest free, nothing. It's immediately interest compounds after this. Okay, so many people fall into riba thinking that they are smart, and when I analyze these 50 days, it is purposely, in my mind, made to be not 2 months, but less, because this will always come in very unusual time. You will never be able to work it out in your head. When is the, if it is end of each month, at least people could track. Okay, it's end of month, so I make sure pay. But 50 days, it's like Ramadan, you know, every year it will come different time, and you can't work it out. So this 50 will always catch a different day in the month. Okay, so these people obviously did it so nobody can track these things. It's almost become full-time job to think which purchases fall in. So we say that this is the contract of riba, and most of the people fall into this riba. And if they don't, then this is a contract itself that is not Sharia compliant. Now, so this is about credit card. Now, credit card, yes?
In this contract that we had, could we also say that that 100 that you are going to pay back is also a debt,
That's right. It is a debt.
and
It is a
there's no
debt.
increase on the debt?
It is a debt if we consider this as a charitable function.
Okay.
But what we say, this is a type of debt where they sold you 100.
Okay.
It results in a debt, but not that kind of debt like Ar Hassan was saying.
Okay.
Okay? It is a commercial nature. So when you're talking with the bank, they sold you this
They sold
for
it
something later.
for something.
That's
later.
why, yes, if it was Ar Hassan type, charity, then we would say, this is. But in reality, they sell you this money. So both type of riba would apply on this one. Okay, sometimes, if you go to Sheikh Munajid's website, there is a statement by Sheikh Uthaymeen, who was once asked about some people who need credit card, and they needed to lease some equipment. Is there any possibility that they might have, considering this? So there is a fatwa by Sheikh Uthaymeen who said that if there are such and such people who fit that description for some business purposes, they have to have credit card in order to lease certain things, and they have a need for this, plus they are type of a business who will ensure that they don't fall into riba, there is like an exception he made for them, as long as they fulfill these two things. Of course, this does not go on the person who buys food, who will most likely, if they do this, fall into the riba. Okay? And now, that was before. Now, for example, there are even what do you call them, debit card. So most of the times, these past fatwa, when they talk about credit card, it was a time where they made this allowed because it was impossible to do many business deals without credit card. Today you can have debit card that is linked. Hopefully you open non-interest bearing account, which even if you don't have Islamic bank, normal banks will have, with all deficiency of these contracts and bank account, non-interest bearing account where you can link your debit card, and that can do everything like a normal credit card. So there is no excuse in reality to use credit card and go into this transaction. Bank loans, what about bank loans? Somebody want to buy a house, they go to the bank. Is there a problem there? So someone wants to buy a house, they go to the bank, so they say, Mr. Bank, I want to buy this house, you know, so this is that person, and they go to the bank, okay, they want to, I don't know, $300,000, okay, and bank say, that's fine, you know, you buy the house, whatever, with that money, and you return us over 20 years, 600. Okay, whatever, 7% rate. Okay? Is there a problem with this?
Can we mention what maybe Ibn Qudama's saying that any loan
Yep.
which has an increase on it is not allowed?
That's right. That's exactly right. So this is the type of a transaction, again, in normal commercial bank, they're giving you money and you are returning more money at a later stage as well. So both of these transactions, and this is what we see wisdom, because this goes back to the principle we said before. They forced us to think about that time is money. So we all accepted that riba-based principle. Why we accepted this? How would we else swallow this idea? Because here he's saying, I'm giving you this plus time. And this time plus this is equal to this. So we swallow that idea. We kind of believe as they taught us to believe in this idea. Okay? So this is not allowed. Okay, how about this late fees? What about late fees? You know, you didn't pay your mobile phone bill, and they say we're going to charge you late fees.
Does it have an interest in it?
So for instance, you have your mobile phone, okay? This is new type of iPhone. This is a olden days phones, okay? Okay? So you are late. You have $50 and you are late, okay? So they say, because you're late, now your bill next time will be 55. Okay? This is late fees. Is this okay?
This is
So the way you think about it, you first think about what is this $50? It's something you owe to the company.
You owe to the company.
Okay?
Yes.
You owe them $50. So that is a debt.
Yes.
So then the company is saying that we're going to increase that debt for another debt. What is that?
Debt upon increasing debt on debt.
Surplus.
For money, surplus.
Yes.
Surplus.
Yeah? So it's increasing. So it's again riba. So the late fees are riba. Now, can we charge late fees ever in any case, in any situation? Well, sometimes, as you will see, if there is a way, for example, in some circumstances where you have to do something, okay, and you can measure really, genuinely, how much you spend, like you have to call, do something, you might find a way to quantify that and charge that service. But that would be for a service that you had to do, not for the late fee itself as a money for money. For example, somebody does not pay, they bought a house from you and they are not paying you. They owe you 100,000. And they don't want to give you money. You take them to the court and you have to pay a lawyer. You have to can you force them to pay you these things?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
because of your time and your hiring of the lawyer and
Exactly. So
paying
this
for
is
it.
your genuine expense. So in Islam, generally, when somebody is late in paying their debts, we should give them time. If they are genuinely in need and can't afford to pay, we give them time. We give them some relaxation. We don't go after people who can't really do it. But you also don't want to have a situation when somebody is delaying for no reason, being slack, being, lazy. So you want to make sure that, for instance, in some of the banks, what they do, they make the customer promise that they will give something in charity if they are late. Okay? As we said, you can't benefit, but they make like a promise binding on the customer that he will give something like a penalties to the charity to force him to kind of be responsible.
Yes.
All right? So this is like a solution they're trying to find in these situations when person is delaying. Okay. How about investing? Today many people ask me, oh, can I invest, buy gold, and what is going on? Investing and buying in gold. What are some of the things we should think when we think about these things? What are some of the things we should, what are some of the rules when you buy gold that we need to observe?
Equal for equal,
Hand to hand.
hand to hand.
Exactly. So when you are buying gold, must be that you really buy it on the spot and you get it. Not just somewhere sits and you don't know where it is, who has it, and so on. Okay. So inshallah, after the break, we are going to look in some of the more details regarding riba.
Umar al-Khatib says, what's the easiest way to attain Jannatul Firdaus? Akhi, this is an easy question and it's very difficult at the same time. The easiest way to attain Jannah is to obey Allah, obey the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
She says, I know myself I'm a sinner, but I'm afraid or I fear for my daughters. Please talk to them.
So the first thing you advise any parents is to try, first of all, to take the Prophet ﷺ as his or her role model, and then try to transmit that to his or her children.
Into the Prophet ﷺ, because at the time of shahwa and desire, person's iman is very low. Maybe even he is grounded of iman. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن ولا يسرق السارق حين يسرق وهو مؤمن. And pay attention to two things, the ikhfa in the word minkum, and the second one is the mad, the natural mad in the word allai.
This is a special episode, you guys. As you can see, I have this brand new suit that my wife bought me. I even brushed my teeth. I combed my beard a little bit, which means it's a very special episode. We're on scene here live.
Huda TV, a light in every home.
Welcome back. We are talking about some rules regarding riba and permissibility in certain transactions. So just before the break, we were discussing certain rules and what is allowed and what is not allowed. So tell me, do you have any questions based on what we've been discussing so far?
Just the one about the credit cards. You know, a lot of times when you're trying to, you know, maybe book a hotel or even rent a car, sometimes you need a credit card, you know, as they take deposit out, and then when you return the car, when you leave the room of the hotel, they refund your money. And if credit cards aren't allowed, what would be the solution?
So normally what you do in any bank, they would give you 0% account.
Yes.
So this is no interest. Sure, the details of this account with the conventional bank would not be Sharia compliant, but if you don't have a choice and you have to have account, at least you go for 0 interest. So you don't want to have anything with interest. Then you linked your debit card with this account. Okay? So you link your card with this account. On this card, to work like a credit card, you need to deposit some funds. So you put, I don't know, $1,000 or $100, whatever amount of money you need. So if you want to book the car, they will usually take some deposit, maybe like I don't know, $300 deposit, they will freeze, and whatever is the fees on top of this.
Yes.
They will return you deposit when you return the car.
Yeah.
So in that case, debit card will fulfill same function like a normal credit card, except that you are accessing your own money. So in that case, you are not borrowing, you are using your own money.
Okay. So we wouldn't use a credit card. We would have to exchange for a debit card.
Yeah, so it's much preferable. Of course, you use your own money, you don't
use your
borrow,
own money.
and
Yes.
you know it's much better way of handling things.
So basically what we're learning from this is that in all these transactions and that Islam has an answer for
You
all.
can solve everything. I mean, we have answers for everything within the limits and whatever makes sense. Okay. Now, you could make some sort of benefit for the people. For example, if I'm selling, selling, let's say, furniture, and I have my own store, I could, for example, issue my own cards, where if person is buying on a credit, on the deferred payment, I would give him a different price. Okay, charge him some sort of profit. So we will see how does that work a little bit later on. Okay, so how I, as an owner of some shop, could have a price for those people who are buying on credit. So in 1 year, I might give them a different price. You know, so there are some answers to this. In terms of these funds, whenever we buy gold or something like that, usually mistake people do is they go on the internet, they buy gold, and it says on computer you have so much gold. In reality, this is not really anything real. They don't have anything. Maybe they bought into the fund that is linked to the price of gold or what some sort of index. They don't maybe have real thing. As long as you are not paying any kind of storage charge, there is no real gold. And you might have a situation where 10 of you bought the same thing. So it is just has a maybe sound of gold. Like one person, he got a neighbor, and every day he come for lunch. So one day he was just preparing the chicken, put the chicken and soup, and this neighbor come for the lunch. So he said, okay. So next day again, so this guy got smart. So what he started doing, so he started taking yesterday's water from the chicken and started cooking it. No chicken this time. Just started cooking the water. So this one come to eat, and he's, where is this? It smells like a chicken like yesterday, but just there's nothing else there. He said, what is this? This is a cheating. So he prepared this specially for him. So it has a smell, but there is no meat. So we don't want, when we buy gold, it has a smell of gold. There is a gold.
Yeah.
So you want a real gold.
Yes.
You want a real bullion. There is something real. You can take it. You can store it, and you can immediately do that. So there are possibilities, and whenever you do that, you have to make sure that it's not just you are buying some sort of benchmark or index, but a real stuff. So any kind of mutual funds, exchange traded funds, you have to make sure when you buy into these things, whatever is underneath, that is Sharia compliant when you are buying it. Shares, we will talk about this in more details. There is some rules regarding shares. For example, when a few months ago Facebook listed their shares, we call that initial public offering, IPO. They put Facebook shares, and I can't remember what was the price. It was maybe $35 or $40. Okay. So what they did, they divided company in small pieces, and then they sell it. So they evaluate it to be, I don't know, $100 billion. Okay. So people bought into these shares. However, these people did not disclose whole financial situation of this company. We don't know what they have, what they don't have, how much money exactly they're making, what are the projections, entire situation. So when we buy, into something like that, we are buying unknown. We don't know. And also there is lots of speculation built in this IPO, initial public offering. So this is something generally not Sharia compliant, unless you know what you're buying, price settles down and so on. So these sorts of things, whenever you have some uncertainty and so on, there are some rules which you have to be careful, and we will look at that a little bit later on.
Okay.
Any questions?
As far as shares and stuff go, how is the company valued? You know, is it according to their assets? They're valued at 100 billion, or you know, what is it that values them?
So in the case of Facebook,
Yes.
Okay. So if you talk about Facebook, okay. So they put, I think, 35, 37, 38, something like that. Let's say $35. Okay. They say they listed it on Nasdaq. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how did they value? No, nothing. They picked the number. Pick the number. We think this is how much we wanted for it. You want to pay for it? And they say, why? What is the projected earning? What are you hoping to achieve? And if you remember, just few days before they went public, General Motors came out and said, we don't think you can capture marketing from mobile phones. You don't have a strategy. It created a shocks in the, you know, people started panicking. What's going on? Is this going to really go through? Will people buy? Unfortunately, people bought this. And we have seen until now, the shares lost maybe between 30 and 40%. I don't follow, but at one time they were almost 50%. They lost the value. And many of the investors used to borrow money, first-time buyers. They bought these shares. They had no clue. In fact, prospectus, which is a document that explains, it does not have these details. Much of this is hidden. So on what do you base this? It's pure speculation. Pure speculation. Now, forget Sharia side of Facebook and can we buy or not. That's a different discussion for later. But as a product, let's say, how it's going to make money? How much my return is going to be? I don't know. I need to wait at least 3 to 5 years that price through this supply and demand profit. We want to see a couple of statements from the Facebook, a couple of yearly, reports, so that price settle down on something that is really a reflection of how much company is worth. And that is done through seeing how much it is growing, what is this returning, evaluating really what this company is doing, what it is giving me. Is there some capital gain? Is there some income that I'm getting? Okay, so then when we go on the market, those supply and demand kick in, where we settle on what we think is really the price. But you will see often in the market these days, when we were talking about global financial crisis and how millions of homes until today are being repossessed through foreclosures, and we saw dehumanization of finance. It is same in the share market. You have these what they call high frequency trading computers. Now what these computers, I don't know, you ever heard of these high frequency supercomputers execute transactions? It's a crazy thing. So what they do, and of course in Facebook, one thing I didn't mention is that when these underwriters, these big banks who put these IPOs, put them in, they short sold this. They started short selling this. Okay, investors came fuming. They say, we had no idea that you can short IPO. How do you do that? They found a way. Can you imagine that? As they were building the company, they put in this.
They're already betting on.
Already we are driving price down to benefit from it. And the people didn't even know you can, okay, we can do it with the shares, but how do you do that with the IPO? It's not yet out. It's not yet out, yet you're borrowing to someone who is shortening it, trying to collapse it and profit from that. So this is amazing, So this is what happened on that, and still they are trying to recover. Now, when it comes to trading normal shares now, where is the problem is that we have these nanosecond trading computers, fast, executing algorithms, and they can execute something like per second. This is how many? Hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. Can you believe that? You have computer does this. In 2010, we have something which is called flash crisis. Dow Jones crashed 1,000 points in half an hour. You had a share price of certain companies going from $60 going up to $100,000 in a space of half an hour. Imagine share from 60 to 100. And you had the companies from 30, they went to 0.1 cent. 1 cent down. Can you believe that? Because these computers, they have algorithm. Either it's fighting to buy and push the price up artificially, or dumping the stock and therefore put it down. So imagine now you have portfolio and you wait and you buy this, and all of these machines, maybe 50-60% of these transactions in the market is done through this high frequency trading computers. Doesn't make any sense. Nobody knows what they're buying, what they're selling. A few months ago there was another new one introduced in the market, and it was losing like a $10 million a minute. Like just losing. And after it lost like, I think, $300-400 million, they stopped. They say, something wrong with the algorithm. These machines trading, doing stuff. What is the benefit for people of having these computers execute these transactions? Nothing. But there are those gambling machines now where they use anything people buy and sell to gamble. So we will see that trading in shares on a daily basis like this is something that is not Sharia compliant. Because what these people are doing, unlike normal investor who buys the share, why would you buy something, shares in the company, become an owner of a business? Because of what company is doing, profit they're making. Here these guys, they look in this chart and they see the price going of the market up and down. So they don't care what company is doing. They're gonna buy here, sell here. Okay, or buy here and short sell here. Doesn't matter. Whether it's going up or down, they will profit. They take long position here, they take short position here. And they are just profiting from price movement. So just a little dot on the screen moving up and down, predict the movement, and movement can go up or down. All you need to do, take your sophisticated stuff, charts, and predict the move is going to go up or down. What the company is doing, is it useful, does it produce stuff? I don't care, as long as I can predict up or down. So this is not Sharia compliant profession as a whole.
This is, could you say this is like a gamble?
This is pure gamble.
One big gamble.
Can't be more gamble than this. And add a few machines artificially, and then you have a chaos. Okay, so inshallah, after this break, we are going to continue.
This is our duty. This is something that we need to do. With whatever language that we know, we need to understand the Quran. We need to get to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, so that we will be steadfast on the deen of Islam. That's why the forgiveness is mentioned in so many verses in the Quran, in so many different ways and means, by the mercy of Allah, that the person would gain such a great level, and that is to be forgiven. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him speak clearly, miraculously in front of everyone, to defend the honor and the dignity of Maryam, the mother of Jesus, the best of all women. And the truth is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one worthy of worship, and He's the creator of the heavens and earth.
Welcome back. We are talking about some of the transactions, and we are looking at permissibility and if there is a riba or not in these contracts. Now, before the break, we were discussing a couple of different points. Next question is sales commission, agency fees. Is this something that is permissible if I say to you, do this for me, and if you sell, for example, this many items, you'll get this much money, or this will be your commission, and so on. Are these sorts of things permissible? Would there be some sort of riba in this?
I don't think so. I think it's permissible
Mm-hmm.
because the commission is the service that
Mhm.
you pay.
So when we are looking, and that is a good way to look at it. So subject matter in that contract is a service. It's not money, and you are paying for it. So that is something allowed. So you can make somebody like your agent, and you can reward them. You can hire a worker, give them incentives, and so on. Okay, what about performance fee? Like somebody does something, and you say, if you meet certain targets, I will give you double commission.
Similarly, like what he was saying, because
Yep.
here the subject matter is him doing that certain.
Yep. So you are free to negotiate these
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
and this is
negotiate.
incentive to somebody to work harder and meet the,
Yes.
especially if you are in the sales or marketing
Sales,
industry. This
yes.
is, okay. What about later on we will look at some of these complex transactions like derivatives and so on, and you will realize that there are many problems with these financial instruments. We mentioned before sale of debt as something that is not permissible. Selling a debt for another debt. Okay, that's an interesting one. Let's say I say I will sell you this in the future in 7 days or a month, and we make a contract. You will give me $10 and I will give you this. Is this something that is permissible? So we make a contract in a future contract or forward contract where I will give you this for some money.
It's okay.
It's okay? In general, we are not allowed to trade debt for another debt. You owe me now this, I owe you money. So we can never delay two, subject matter and payment. So this is never by consensus not allowed. So to defer both in the future, you can't do that. So whenever we talk about riba, we always say one or the other deferred. Both is never okay. Okay, so this is what they do, these derivatives, future kind of contracts. Now, we will also look at some of these bonds, real estate investment trusts, and so on. These are the basic, like bonds are government instruments where government use that to raise money. So they would give you some sort of certificate.
I just want to ask a question.
Yes.
Is scholarship considered as riba?
Well, depends how the scholarship work. If it is a type of loan that keeps growing, then it is like any other loan. Okay? So that's why we if there is a scholarship involved, we want it to be without interest. So there are some governments that provide these services that there is no interest component. So it's the main thing is what sort of contract we have. Is it money for money exchange? Okay. So some of these instruments that governments use, for example, they raise money through issuing bond. And this is just piece of paper, certificate that says, I took so much money from you, and every 6 months, for example, I'm going to give you some interest. And maybe in 10 years, I give you the what the face value of this bond, whatever we took initially. So these are all interest-based bonds. Okay, so there are a few other topics. I think it's a little bit too early, so I'll just move on. Another case study. All right? Let's consider this situation. There are two friends. They want to buy a car. They go in some sort of partnership. They want to buy a car and sell it to another person. Okay? So as you see in the picture. So we have person A and B. They have each 10 10. Okay? So let's say this is 10,000 maybe. And they use this money together to buy a car. Okay? So this car is, how much is this car? 20. Okay? So they 50-50 go into this deal. Okay?
Okay.
Now they say, let's sell this car to our friend, someone else, party C. Okay, so this is a C, and we want to sell the car, but we want to make a profit. We don't want to, why would we sell it for 20?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. So we want to make a profit, and it's a car, and we can make a profit from selling car and giving him some time to repay.
Yes.
So we say, okay, give us 30 in 1 year. Okay, fair enough? Can I do that?
Yes.
Can I sell something and ask to be paid later?
Yes.
Okay, no problems. Okay. Now, what each of us have now? We initially bought a car. Remember what we said about the sale? It's a transfer of
It's a transfer of ownership.
In exchange for
Yes, for item,
money.
for payment, money.
Yep. So for the payment. So now this ownership is with who of the car?
With C.
With C. What about us, A and B? What do we own? We gave up ownership of the car. What is it that we own now?
Money.
Money in the form of a debt. So how much we owe from this guy?
30.
We owe 30. Each owe 15. Okay, so each owe 15 in 1 year. Okay, in 1 year. Now what happened in this case is this person B, he needs money now. He changed his mind. Okay, now there is another person D. He says, okay, I will take this. This is a, in the future money coming. I will take your spot and I will give you 12, so you make also some profit, and you give me this 15. And I will wait, and for this waiting I will be compensated 3. And they say, fine, I make 12, you wait, you make 3. We all agree. Is this a problem? Is there a problem with this?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the problem?
Debt on debt.
Just
The selling of debt.
So here we are selling the money of 15
yes.
for money of 12.
Yes.
Regardless this is coming in 1 year or 1 month or 1 second or on the spot, it's still 15.
Yes.
We cannot make it less. So we cannot exchange 15 for a 12. Okay, so this is a sale. Now consider the same example. But in this example, we bought the car for 20, but we are leasing it now. We are leasing this car to see for 1 year 30. Okay, 1 year
30.
to lease the car, it's 30. Now, what do we owe when we buy the car? We have ownership of the car and benefit of the car,
Benefit.
right to use it, which we call usufruct or manfa,
Yes.
benefit of the car. When we exchange this right in a lease to use the car for a year for 30, what did we transfer to the customer?
We transfer the partial ownership.
Partial or this benefit?
Benefit.
We still are
Owners
of the car. Okay. Now let's say this, I now am leasing this car. Okay, I'm leasing the car, and there is money coming in, and whatever is happening. All right, so I'm leasing the car, and then in the same scenario, I change my mind. On the first day, I say to my partner, you see, we bought the car, we lease, I need the money. Now this guy, another come, he says, how about this? I will swap the place with you. I'll give you 12 and I will swap with you. Is this allowed?
It is allowed.
We will
Yes.
swap the places.
Yes.
Why?
Because he's trading the money for an item. He's trading it for the ownership of the.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now he's not changing cash flow and the debt, but he's paying 12 for this car. Okay, he's now exchanges here between the car and the money.
Yes.
Okay, and then now you receive whatever is the rent that you are receiving and calculate whatever you want to calculate. Okay, so you see the sale and the lease in a similar situation will have different effect. And that's why when you analyze, you want to analyze always what is the subject matter and what is the consideration, what am I actually paying to know, is it money for money like in first case or not. And this is why we will see later on, whenever we have these complex instruments like Islamic sort of bonds, which they call, which are investments of certificate or sukuk, whenever you securitize or build the pool of investment, you look what is this pool of investment. Maybe you invested $1 billion in some of these transactions. You look, is it a sale, is it a lease, what am I owner of? So I have $1 billion pool of something, what is it that I owe here? Now if I owe, if this is all based on sale and now it's all debt in that pool, I can't sell certificates for other than what? Par, isn't it? Exactly that right same amount. I cannot sell it less or more unless it is ownership of some asset where I could negotiate the price. So these shares of this or certificates of investment in these sort of instruments might be possible to buy and sell, might be closed-ended and you can't do anything with them. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, okay. All right, let's see, before we go to this one, I just want to make sure that we understand one principle, and that is what we've been discussing in Riba to sort of capture the main idea, and that is that whenever you have money for money, and this is what conventional banks are doing, money selling for another money to get a profit is against the nature of what we want from money. It's run contrary to the nature of money being medium of exchange. Whenever you see money being treated as a commodity, this is the main feature of conventional bank. In Islamic bank, money must become asset, which is then sold for a profit. Okay, so this is the key difference between the two. And therefore, when we want to look at the differences between Islamic and conventional institution, is that Islamic bank deal in goods and documents, not in money. Unlike conventional banks, they deal with money and documents. In Islamic bank, money is used only as a medium of exchange for purchasing the goods for purpose or leasing or selling after. Okay, however, on the other side, conventional money is considered commodity that is sold, bought, rented against the profit. So here, profit comes with the risk and responsibility. Okay, so this is what we were saying before. If you want to earn some profit, you have to have some skin in the game. You have to touch the risk, basically. Okay, so this is what we are seeing. Now, there are sometimes people who try to replicate the interest-bearing loan through so-called of Islamic features. So one of these is what we call bail-ina, and how it works is it's a synthetic type of sale. And what do we mean by synthetic? What do we mean by synthetic? It looks on the surface as it is genuine trade, but underneath is what? It's a fake. So how does that work? So somebody want to borrow money, okay? So they want to borrow 100. They want to borrow 100. They want to get $100. Okay? This is in the conventional way. And then to end up owning 110. Okay? This is interest at 10%, yeah? This is how it works. You take 100 and you owe 110. Now, how sometimes some of these people do that, this is a hidden riba, it's not clear immediately. So they would say, I will give you this on credit for 110. Okay, so if I give you this on credit 110, okay, what do you have now?
We have
item.
the
You have
item.
item plus you owe me 110.
Yes.
Okay, so you owe me 110.
110.
All right, and you have an item. Now you sell me that for cash.
This.
Yeah, I give
Okay.
you 100.
Okay.
Now what do you have now?
100.
10.
100.
100.
100.
So you have a cash of 100
Mm.
and a debt of 110.
110. Yeah.
Did we really buy and sell anything here?
No.
No.
We didn't. So what did we use this commodity as?
Just as a
As a trick.
as a trick.
Mm.
We use it as a trick, and this is what happened in Europe before. They use commodities as a little bit of trickery. There was no genuine trade, nothing really happened to get this.
Mm.
Okay, so this is what we call bail-in, a back-to-back repurchase. And sometimes you see some of these so-called Islamic credit cards, they would have these features. Okay. Now, sometimes, for example, we see these transactions, sometimes we try to understand why people are doing. So there are many reasons, many explanations, people try to justify this and that, but we want to understand that these sorts of things will not develop unique Islamic flavor and characteristics of what we want to see in the finance. So if we want to progress, we have to develop the products that will have something of real, genuine quality and different characteristics. So that is all for today. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum.